Welcome back again. This is Fox, part 3 in our Satisfactory Let's Play. In our last video, we built this cool little coal generator facility. We've just spent 10 minutes making it look a little bit better than we left it last time. What I've done is I've added these this tiered roof, sort of encased the coal gens in a bit. Change my fly speed to medium. I thought this was really cool. I mean, these little indicators are sticking through the roof, which at first sight looks a bit crap, but it allows me to tell that they're working full without coming down low and zipping around. So I've got these tiny little indicators through the roof telling me that everything's working good. Yeah, the new roofing system's pretty cool. The only thing I wish they'd implemented was a corner piece so that you can bring two edges together and create some ridges. I don't know why they didn't do that. We had something very similar to that in More Factory, the mod. It was awesome. I used it exclusively for the roofs on all my playthrough. There's no way to bring these roofing pieces around a corner because in the architecture section we've only got different tiered ones. There's no angled ones. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they clip internally to create... Let's try. I'm sure they clip internally to create a valley. Yeah, see how they clip internally to make a valley? It's perfect, so you can use them on internal corners, but there's no way of us getting around an external 90-degree corner. What use is a roof if it can only have gables on it? It really limits what you can do. But yeah, that's for another time. I've added these little sloping windows in it, just using the 1 meter sloped walls. These little 1 meter ramp walls I've added in. You can see at the bottom and the top of just some glass windows just to make it look a bit better. Put the railings around the edge. I did nothing else to the underside structure. I left that as it was. Front section's pretty similar. Added the railings here. Over here, all I did was I buried the power cables in underneath. I buried most of the power cables in underneath. You can see there's just the one coming down from the top to here. I mean, you can't really see it because it's in the shadow of the rock foundation. And the rest of it is all inside the foundations. And then they come through. Instead of having the power poles running across the top, I thought it looked a lot neater. Same here, I've ran the power cable through inside the foundation so you can't see it. And it just comes out here through there and connects to the miner. Put the railings around the edge just to make it look a bit more industrial. This concrete foundations, I said before in the last video, they're fucking awesome. They look so realistic. They really do look like the polished concrete or the raw concrete that we get in the UK. That they build a lot of these, especially water stations and things like that, water towers and stuff. It looks exactly the same as this concrete. It looks brilliant. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Our next stage is now to start planning our 100 fuel gens. Now, I've been thinking a lot about this. What I would like to do is keep it in groups of 10 because when we were doing our mumbling and rambling and testing in the first video, sorry, we worked out that one blender running turbo fuel can power 10 fuel gens. We're going to have 10 blenders, 100 fuel gens. So I want them in groups of 10 with all the production underneath. I don't want to make all of the turbo fuel in one place, bust it into one big pipe, and then have to spread it out across 100 fuel gens. The flow, the way the liquid works in these pipes, I've done this on my last playthrough. It was such a pain in the ass. I ended up with valves everywhere, multiple bloody pumps and stuff, just trying to get the turbo fuel to go where I wanted it. So we're not going to do that. We're going to have 10 groups of 10 fuel gens. Now, this is what I was thinking. I'm just getting used to this zooping still. This is what I was thinking. I'm going to use this for the guide. As a centre point. I was thinking about having 10, 10, 10. So 3 lots of 10 on both sides. And then 2 lots of 10 shooting off a different way somehow. Now we need to gain access to this water. Let's have a quick look. Let's do a little bit more testing. Let's see how much machines each stack of 10 will need to get it running. And then we can kind of see the footprint that we're going to be working with. So at the end, it's going to be one blender. One blender, turbo blend fuel. Now we need 2 M3 fuel. Heavy oil residue. Sulfur. Now the fuel is going to be made using another blender and a diluted fuel. It only needs 15 a minute. This produces 100 minutes, so we're going to underclock this down massively. So 100 divided by 15, 6.6666%. Get a new bit of paper. Right, what's this? Diluted fuel. Diluted fuel. It makes 100 a minute. And we only want 15, so that's 15%, yeah? Yeah, so everything needs to be divided by 15%. Excuse me. So 50 divided by 15%. 7.5 heavy oil residue. $15 water. Makes us 15 fuel. So using twice the amount of water mixed with heavy oil residue to make 15 fuel. Easy. So very small amount of heavy oil residue, a very small amount of water, but we're still going to do one machine per cluster, because it'll keep it nice and neat. So water, no problem. We can just have one extractor at the bottom of each structure, bringing the water up. Refinery. Alternate heavy oil residue, polymer resin. This is the one we want. This gives 40 heavy oil residue a minute and 20 polymer resin as a byproduct. Excuse me. Each one will have their own sink over here to deal with that. So we need 7.5. 40 divided 7.5 is 0.71 recurring. This is heavy oil residue. We need 7.5 overall. 7.5 M3 per min. Produces 40. 40 divide 100 times 7.5. divided by 100 is give you 100%. Hang on, my brains took a dump for a minute. 40 divided 7.5 equals 5.3 recurring. So 30 divide 5.3 means we're only going to need 5.625 oil to make the heavy oil residue. So it's just one blender making the turbo fuel, one blender underclock making the diluted fuel, one blender making the heavy oil residue. Then it simply needs petroleum coke. Okay, that's going to use the heavy oil residue coming from this as well, so we may have to change that. Petroleum coke. We need 22.5 a minute. 120 divide 22.5. It's 5.3. And 2.5. It's 53. 120 divided 22.5. 53.33 recurring percent of the overall output gives us a petroleum coke we need. So 40 times 53.3 recurring. It's 21.333 recurring. 21.333 heavy oil residue makes the petroleum coke. Pet coke. So 21.333 plus 7.5, which is what we needed for the heavy oil, for the diluted fuel. It's 28. So if we say 29 heavy oil residue overall a minute. Okay, that's cool. Still easily done in one of these because it makes 40. That's like 2/3, so it's like 3/4. So we're going to need 22.5 crude oil per stack. 22.5 oil per stack of 10. That's enough to produce the heavy oil residue, which will then make the fuel and the petroleum coke. So 22.5 times by 10. 29, sorry. Times 10 is 290. So we should be able to get all of that out of 300 oil. Let me just bring up the Satisfactory calculator that we were using the other day. I've got something uploading in the background, so this might take a while. 150 heavy oil residue and min for the diluted fuel, and 150 heavy oil residue and min for the petroleum coke. That means we needed, yeah, I said 29 overall times 10 stacks. Yeah. Just done my calculation for the oil wrong. So we need 675 crude oil. We divide that by 2. 2 lots of 350. And they can deal with a stack of 5 each. So yeah, that should be cool. Let's check the oil that we have got around here. I believe they were down here. Power down. So this is a normal. Whoa. More of these spittery things. I wonder why I'm getting these stutters. I never used to get it before the update. Oil extractor. So we get 120 minute underclocked. Overclocked, we get 300, so a normal's not going to be enough. We need some pure. This is a pure. This is a normal. Got a feeling there's another. If there isn't, we'll have to bust the oil together, which I didn't want to do. That's a normal. That's a normal. The rest super far away, so we'll have to bust 2 of the normals together. That's fine. 2 of the normals together. I'm just going to do this for now, so I remember that these need to get... These 2 need to get bust together. This one is one on its own. Right. That is good. Where's the calculator gone? So 300 water, so we need a tiny bit of water. I suppose we could run one water extractor feeding everything, but it just becomes a huge pain. Sulfur's easy to deal with. Why are we making so much polymer resin? I think we're using the wrong heavy oil residue recipe here. I think if we uncheck the polymer resin, this should change. No? Well, with this recipe we've got, the polymer resin is half of the heavy oil residue. $40 heavy oil residue. So 300 divided by 40 is 7.5. So 30 times 7.5 is only 225. I'm confused. 300 heavy oil residue divided by 40 a minute is 7.5 refineries. Yeah, if we were using it them all in one place. So 7.5 refineries a minute times by. So why is it showing me in this calculator that we're making 450 polymer resin byproduct from 300 oil? We're not. What's the basic recipe for heavy oil residue then? See, that's double for the amount of oil. Fuel, unless the polymer resin is coming. Confused. The numbers don't lie though, do they, in the machine? The calculator must be wrong. Need the heavy oil residue to make the fuel as well. Dunno. I'm going to stick with this one. So we only need 300 oil. I'm pretty sure we only need 300 oil to do all of this. Or even less. So this is all we need. 2 refineries and 2 blenders per stack. So it doesn't take up a lot of space. If we were to span these around this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8. If we did an 8x8 grid. As a base for the generators, that would give us not much space to put 10 gens on top, but we could fan it out and make some cool feature. And I'm just going to want to follow this river line somehow. We'll run the oil pipe under the water. make a plan then. We don't want to be piping up. We do want to be coming up this eye because we want to clear these rock structures and that. Let's just start then. Let's start with a, say, a 7x7. So we're going to want the oil to come up a central pillar, which is, the middle is here. So the oil and actually let's do things on the fly. I'm just thinking of a way to get in the get the sulfur and everything up here. That will look cool. Excuse me. Where was the sulfur? Coal, sulfur. Sulfur's here. This is aligned to the world grid. But you can offshoot stuff, can't you? Diagonally. Can these be destroyed? Yes. Right. That gives us something now to channel the sulphur along. Which is way over here. Bring it down the middle through here. Actually, let's bring the power over as well, so we're dealing with it all at the same time. I will redo all the power eventually, so it looks better. For now, we just need to get it places. Again, I'll find a way of making this better. I may even train it. For now, we're just going to belt it, get everything working on this first cluster, and then we can come back. Make this look pretty at a later date. Let's run the sulphur through the middle of the two. Well, we think it's only going to be one oil pipe, don't we? So, but we'll run this at the center. We'll have the pipe going over the top with the oil in. Let's think about how we're going to do this. It needs to be split off every one and ultimately get up here. Can you mount a conveyor lift to these? Yes, you can. Not at the angle that we want, though. That means this is going to have to be 2 or 3 wide. Or at least when we come to these. At least when we come to this, for us to get to an angle that way, I'm happy with. Just trying to get it as close to the centre as possible, so that when we bring it up, it's in the centre of the floor. Okay, well that deals with the sulphur. We're just going to do that every time it comes to one of these. We'll bring that up like that. The oil will have to come up one of these sides, and the water will have to come up the other side, and then it'll all be encased in this. It will be encased in this as it goes up. Sounds pretty good. And then we'll have 1, 2, maybe 3 along this section. Try and angle it to go that way a bit and fit as many as we can along this run as possible. So I think we only need 300 oil. We're just going to work on that for now, yeah? I think there's a fuck up with the calculator because we worked it out pretty quickly, but we did work it out. Oil extractor. $300 a minute. If I change the colour of this pipe now, is it going to change all the water pipes up there? I mean, I suppose we create another swatch for... Can we change the name of this? This just wants to be black. Can't rename it. Oh, custom swatch. What the heck? No idea what happened there. Some weird grid came up. Never seen that before. How'd you bring that customizer up? X. This is all... This may all change. Just toying with designs at the minute. Just to see how we can get everything up there. Not looking too bad. Obviously we're going to need pumps. So the oil is going to the refineries. This wants to be a sandwich layer anyway, doesn't it? The oil's going to the refineries. The sulfur's going to the end product. So we need oil to come around here somewhere, or indeed through here, and then go back on itself. Right, let's nick the power from here somewhere. Keep it all hidden inside the foundations. We use Mark II pumps because they give drastic amount of more head lift. We'll keep one quite close to the top to make sure it can deal with the next floor above the sandwich layer. Excuse me. So this is all going to be hidden inside the spine, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Although I would like to keep it looking semi-nice. Ah, we dropped a bollock here. This oil needs to be split and continued on. Bit of spaghetti, but it works. Now we just need to get the water up. So very similar. I had a feeling they were off centre as I was doing them. so this works. Might be a bit noodly. No clipping? No clipping. That's sweet. So we should have oil and water in a bit. We should have everything we need now to start making our fuel gens. Not making our fuel gens, making our turbo fuel. I'm going to try and keep the videos to an hour because the last video done was 2 hours. My internet is so shite until I move house. It takes me an insane amount of time to upload a video. If it's an hour, I can compress it down using Handbrake, and I can set it uploading overnight, and it's not too much hassle. So we're going to do our chunks till I move house. Then I can start streaming, obviously. But we should have oil, water, and sulfur. Now the end blender we're going to have on this side. Up on, yeah. The end blender we're going to have on this side. Center. The heavy oil residue we'll have on this side, then we'll have the fuel one side and the petroleum coat the other, feeding it in here. So we'll have a refinery here. In fact, I'll put it right back here. This is going to be making the heavy oil residue. This is going to need a sink. This is going to need a sink to do away with the polymer resin. And then the heavy oil residue will go over there. In fact, if we move this blend to this side, no matter which way you put it, the output of the we were going to do a sandwich layer, weren't we? But I don't think we need to. I'm just thinking this sulfur needs to go straight in. Heavy oil residue needs to come out and go that way. So it probably would have been better for me to reverse this. that way. Some of the heavy oil residue can come in here. You can snake the other heavy oil residue around the back to make the petroleum coke. I think that's the way to do it. Fuel petroleum coke. This is going to be really tricky to get it all looking neat. I think I'm going to fumble around with this off camera till I get a setup that's somewhere decent, and then I'll jot it down, and then I'll do it in the next video. But yeah, for now that's been it. That's an hour. So yeah, we've got quite a lot done. We've got the basic idea of how we're going to get stuff up. Obviously this shape here we will continue like this, so it all gets boxed in, come all the way down. It's going to intersect the diagonal one at a 45-degree angle, so it'll look pretty cool. Once this is built in, we'll build up, and then we'll fan it out big enough to get 10 gens on top, and then we'll just repeat this 10 times along this row. It'll look pretty cool. Yeah, for now, as always, thanks for watching. As I said, I'll jiggle around with this off recording, try and find the best way to do this and make it look as neat as possible, and then we'll go over it in the next one, and we'll set up the fuel gens for one of these clusters, make it all look pretty, so we've got a blueprint for the next 10 that we need to do to get it all done. Yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Cheers.